Yeah, I don't like that they do that. They take all of these cool characters from the lore of Marvel and then they just make jokes out of them, basically, and comedy relief. I don't like when they do that much. But I want to ask you, like, do you think that this is maybe some of the Disney influence, and do you think that they are scared to really go the darker route that we want to see? Like, because there, like you said, there's a lot of missed opportunity here with this character. Do you think it's just because they're scared to kind of go darker and more serious with these characters? And do you think that they want to cater to the family dynamic to make more money, so that more people can come out to see these movies? Do you feel that's what it is, why they keep doing
Hmm.
these things?
Well, see, I would argue that WandaVision, in terms of what we've seen in MCU, was kind of dark. Her family is dead. It was about grief. She rebuilt her family from grief. And then at the end, they had to die again in order for her to move on. That is pretty dark in what we have seen in like MCU-ish. Even, and I would say that would have been the most well executed kind of plot or that we could have gotten. That we could have gotten with God the Butcher. But I think that it could be that, but also because if you look at it, the way that Marvel has been turning out TV shows and movies, it's a non-stop cycle. They don't allow, I feel, their writers to breathe with the script and to really stretch things out and to let the writers think about certain things. So it could be that and it could be, a combination of we have to appeal to kids as well. So this also makes
Yeah.
me scared of Mephisto because is Mephisto going to be just some kind of clown the entire time?
Yeah, no,
Hmm.
I agree with you. I definitely think they don't give the writers enough time to flesh these things out. Because like you were saying with the Kang, how he created him and does he have a level of control over him and stuff, like, it's like they don't have the time to really get into those details because they don't, give them that kind of time, I guess. And because instead they try to like check off they tick off the check boxes and stuff, and they keep to the same formula and everything. And with One Division, I think they were able to get a bit darker because it was for the platform, the streaming service Disney and stuff.
Mm.
So maybe they were able to get a bit darker with those, because they don't need to fill up the theater full of seats, with family and stuff like that. So I guess
Well,
it's a mix of reasons, I guess.
the
Go ahead.
Infinity Saga was dark as well, but that's like
Hmm.
when MCU was at its prime, its peak.
Yeah.
Ever since then, it kind of went down. You can argue Falcon and Winter Soldier, but then again, Disney Plus that dealt with serious topics, racism. You can look at remember that whole situation with the bank loan thing. We knew what it was about. It may have went over some people's heads, but we know when you have a whole black staff, we knew what the message and the themes that they was trying to get with that, and also being a black superhero in America while he's not being called the N word. There were subtle hints of things not being bright and sunny, you know. So it touched upon that, but again, the execution. But of Disney Plus, maybe that's different. Danny, what do you
Yeah.
think?
I think the both of you are right. I think Disney. I think they're capable of doing dark storylines or dark-ish storylines because we have yet to get anything really like hardcore or rated R in any sense. Crossing fingers for Deadpool. But I think they're capable of doing an adult and dark storyline, but at the same time, Gary, with the whole formulaic idea is what Disney does. I think after they tried to go the serious route with Thor 1 and 2, and Thor 2 really bombing because of how serious it was, they went more comedic and it worked. So they were like, "Oh, this is a formula right here. We have to add a little bit of comedic, stuff into all of our movies because that's what they like." So with Ant-Man 3, for example, it's like, oh, maybe they looked at it and they're like, it's not comedic enough, it's not funny enough, it's not lighthearted enough. We have to fit a little bit of something in there. So they kind of just like, what's that big-headed dude doing? Okay, let's just change his thing. Maybe he could be the funny one because he looks funny. So they can change things to fit the formula because they know that's what works and that's business. You're trying to get as many butts into the seats as possible. So you gotta kind of work with the adults and for the kids watching this movie.
Right. And if you really look at the history of Disney itself, with all of the original cartoons were dark as all can be. Bambi was dark. Dumbo was like extremely dark. And I know Disney doesn't like to acknowledge this movie anymore. Remember Song of the South? So they may not want to repeat that, but give us something. Because if you look at it this way, the fans who were there during the very beginning of Iron Man, they're now adults with probably kids of their own. They can tolerate it. They can handle it. I wish their movies would grow with the audience so you can get more darker.
Exactly that. I agree with you because just sorry, real quick. Yeah, like with the Harry Potter series, for example, as that series went on, the books, it got darker and darker and darker because the audience got to grow with the books and the story. So I really wish they would do that. And you can't give us a peak like Infinity War and then go back. It's like we want more of that. We want more of Infinity War and WandaVision. Like we want these things. So yeah, but sorry, Danny, I cut you off. What was you going to say?
Actually, I was going to give you a similar example of comparison when it comes to wrestling. Like we grew up with wrestling in like the 90s and the Attitude Era and stuff like that. And the storylines and the content nowadays is more kid friendly because they're more pandering towards the children and not towards us who grew up with the product. So it's kind of like they lost their way, because we don't like the content as much as before. But if you were to talk to like a 10-year-old, they'd probably love it.
Yeah, well, John Cena was one of the most popular wrestlers solely because of the kids. And he never changed. He was very formulaic and never changed. Even to this day, he is considered the good guy, the baby face.
Yeah, so, they lean more towards the kids.
Yeah. So then, is Marvel for us then? Should we move on? Is DC now the new mantle?
I'm damn sure not moving on, but the content is different now. I don't think it's really grown with us. I think it's moving on to another demographic, and it's gonna change. And I think it's gonna mess with our source material that we grew up with more and more and more, especially once they start catching up to the comics. Like eventually they'll probably have a Civil War 2, another Secret Wars or whatever it may be. If you look at the Secret Invasion, that's very different from the comics, except the fact that they're introducing the Skrulls a little bit more. But it seems like to me it's a different story. So they're changing a lot of things because they're trying to make it for the new generation.
Yeah, that's true. So then, you wanted to say yes?
Just one more final note on that. I don't want to spend too much time on this because it is a Marvel thing, but I will say because of this whole, them catering to the kids and the family, I think it leaves the door open for this new wave of DC to give us mature viewers what we want. Like, that Snyder cut, if they go down that route, and follow that kind of tone, they could really, do something special with that. But, I'll leave that there because, we're talking about Marvel right now. So.
And then side note, I started reading that Supergirl comic that they're doing for the movie. That's dark. That's very dark. So, yay.